It's a fact you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Working Wing Podcast, the podcast where every week we watch some episodes of The West Wing and break them down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, my dear friend, longtime debate partner, and a man who knows that it is midnight in America and is not afraid to say it, Killian Collins is here.
It is midnight in America. It might even be 12:04 for all I know. So, well, currently right now recording, in all seriousness, it is the afternoon in America.
Yes.
Regardless of where you are in the continental parts, unless you're in Hawaii and in Maui, and in that case, we're rooting for you and hoping that hoping BlackRock doesn't take all of your shit.
Yeah. Hopefully Oprah doesn't buy the other half of the island.
Certainly so. But yeah, we're here to actually go with like the true spiritual succession of the West Wing and what they were ending with. Because at the end of season 2, if we recall, they were ending with the staff learning about, all knowing about that they're going to have to go forward with the MS story. Or with admitting the president has MS while he's running for a second term.
Yes.
And with that whole debacle about that, and them basically discovering that they're going to have a very rough couple of years, which, as we've said many times in this series so far, this would be the time where most of them would jump ship.
Yes, I have so many notes about that. Like, yeah, it should be an entirely new staff at this point.
Yes, it should be like the second new staff at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, these two episodes are called Manchester Parts 1 and 2, which I'm assuming is like the little farm.
Yeah, that's like Manchester, isn't that the capital of New Hampshire? I don't know, it might be. Like I think that's the town closest to where his little ranch is. Which is
funny. Well, I'll get to that once they're on the actual farm. But we start off with AJ's with the press about special prosecutors and how they're all being appointed by Republicans, and which is, would not be happening nowadays. They would
I think. Well, yeah, I think Trump's special prosecutor was appointed by a Republican.
I just mean of the opposite, you have the opposite party promote it, especially when you're the party in power. And I'm assuming they still have Congress.
Yeah. No, Republicans have Congress.
Okay, okay. That makes more sense then. But either way, if they were able to get like friendly Democrats onto it, they would probably if they would get friendly politicians onto it, they would do it. That's my assumption with today's politics is.
My assumption with today's politics is that it would just be a fucking nonstop, interminable mess for years and years and years.
I don't think you're completely wrong about that. The president comes out disheveled from the end of the second season, all covered in rain, and puts his hands in his pockets and announces that he's going to run again. After calling on the wrong person and. Not listening.
He's going rogue, that Bartlett.
Oh yeah, you gotta let him do him. Let him lie to the public. Let him lie to the public and the staff for years to make his chances of being president better. CJ steps out of the limo 4 weeks later. There's a lot of time jumps in this.
We're jumping back and forth.
And it wasn't always necessarily clear. I always had to establish myself going like, okay, well, what setting are they in right now?
Yeah. Most of the past stuff is in the White House. Most of the present stuff is at a bar or a farm in New Hampshire.
But she's stepping out of the limo and they're on the runway to go on an Air Force base to go on to Air Force One to go to New Hampshire. And CJ gets word about the FDA is making an announcement. This they keep on referring to it as RU 486.
Yes, the abortion pill.
Yes. Well, See, I didn't even want to call it an abortion pill because that makes it sound like it's like you're a baby killing pill. I call it a birth control pill because that's what it is. It's not.
It's not Plan B.
It's not Plan B. Yeah,
it's not Plan B. It's yeah.
But
it's the pill that is now back in the national headlines recently.
Yes. But either way, it's still I like referring to it as birth control pill because that's what it is. It's just contraception at the end of the day. It's not fucking.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's how I refer to it. But yeah, and they're announcing on Monday, and they're upset because fuck, that's when we're gonna do our announcement, and we want that to be the headline. Speeches. Yeah, the speech is finished. Oh yeah, the speech is well, on Air Force One, they're like writing the speech and saying that the speech is done.
Right. No, Sam has there's a little like 70s sitcom moment here with Sam where CJ's like, nope, everyone's getting along fine. The speech is almost done. It's polishing. And then just as she gets done saying that, Sam bursts out of the conference room, throws a bunch of papers like a harried 1970s housewife, and it's like, we're going to start again from the top.
Yeah,
it's
yet another thing that would get a real White House speechwriter fired.
Yeah, just fire them all at this point, and it's not good for them either. You can see, I think the show is trying to go for a look. These guys work so hard; it's so difficult.
Look how much they're freaking out. Aren't they working hard?
Yeah, it's like no, they shouldn't be in these jobs anymore. These jobs are incredibly stressful. And that's why no one does them for more than a year tops.
Precisely, because that's really all you can handle. And plus, not to mention, you're going to make more money elsewhere.
Exactly. You go be a lobbyist. All of these people should be making upper six-figure salaries at a minimum, working for various lobbying firms.
Yeah, straight up. CJ's career before this was way better and more stressful.
Oh yeah, no, her and Sam were both making hella bucks before they joined the cult of Bartlett.
Well.
Which we'll get more to that when we talk about.
Well, it sounds like Sam just kind of needs to go to therapy for a little bit too.
Yeah, true. Yeah, for sure.
Then we go to the president in the Oval Office with Abby, and I'm imagining this is weeks prior to this.
Yeah, I think this is the same night as the press conference.
That's the same.
Because she remember Bartlett went rogue with announcing that he was going to run for re-election. Her understanding and the staff's understanding was that he was not going to run for re-election. And she never wanted him to run for re-election in the first place.
Yeah, but Mrs. Lanningham died, and that's what pushed him to...
Yeah, his conversation with Mrs. Lanningham's ghost.
I mean, I suppose it pretty much adds up with George Bush saying that I ran for president because Jesus wanted me to. Yeah, but he's running. Yeah, President of the Oval Office with Abby. He's telling her he's running again. She doesn't say anything, knowing that she doesn't approve of this, and he just leaves. He just fucks off. Doesn't have the conversation.
Well, he's got to go to Coup Report. Coup Watch 2000 is what I've named these Haiti sections.
Yep. But yes, he has to go and leave for that. Which is I also imagine it's that's the kind of. That's the way he would like to announce this to the public of by the way, I have it and I'm running again and it doesn't matter because I'm doing it and I don't care. Kind of the way Joe Biden does it, where it's I'm not don't worry, my brain's not turning into soup. It's okay, folks. Josh and Donna are then in the West Wing. I have this next scene here. It's there's a lot of busy. They're just trying to show how busy the staff is. It looks like it's like a war scene almost. It's shot like that, where it's just okay, panning to this guy, panning to this person, panning to this person. So much stuff was happening, and they just were going through shit so quickly, but not really saying all that much that I just pretty much said lots of busy office stuff.
Oh, there's a couple. I think there's a moment where all the staff is crowding in front of the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and Bartlett just kind of ignores them. He's it really had the look of little kids being brushed off by their older brother, being oh, sorry, I gotta go talk to the cool generals and stuff about Haiti. Sorry, losers.
Yeah. And we have the president off. Yep, president's in the office. Tabi Josh Sam enter.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what's the news we're going to cover tomorrow? Yep, that's exactly what you mentioned. They're in the Situation Room. Yes, for coup 2000. Yeah, Operation Swift Fury. That
Swift Fury.
Yeah,
God, our dicks got so hard with these names and shit.
yeah. Desert Storm, Nick Fury, Iraqi Freedom.
Right. Well, and so I think the obvious comparison that they're drawing here is back when in 1998 when Clinton bombed Iraq while he was undergoing impeachment proceedings.
I thought he bombed Sudan. That's what I thought, because I remember him bombing an aspirin factory that they said was a weapons factory. That they also killed a bunch of people because he was mad about getting impeached. I could be mistaken, but I do remember a factory.
Yeah, I'm browsing this Wikipedia article here.
But either way, I do remember Clinton definitely using militarism to distract himself from the fact that the country was looking into him getting a blowjob. and a little bit more than that. But also in this scene too is that once the president says that we're going through the operation, they all get up and they start clapping.
Yes, I have that note too. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I doubt most of these people are even Democrats, because top military leadership does not tend to be. And it just felt like the most like awkward and like politically hacky thing. Like these are military men who just found out that their commander has like a serious brain disease.
Right. Like, right.
I can't imagine that they're in like standing ovation mode right now.
No, not in the least. Not in the least. Especially when Leo is in the Situation Room more than often than any of them. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Than the president is.
Yeah, he's the military guy somehow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. He's that old racist bastard as that 9/11 after school special showed us.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's no wonder they get along with Leo.
Some guy, I have like some guy goes up to Leo. Oh yeah, it's that Doug guy, the bald. He's the bald and antagonist.
He was David Duchovny's buddy on Californication.
Okay. But he argues that the president, he argues about whether or not the president should have to apologize or not, and goes nowhere, absolutely nowhere with it. Which, I mean, I would think too, if like I'm writing the president's speech and they're announcing and he's announcing it, he's been lying about MS. I would think an apology should be in there.
It's really fucking weird.
Yeah, of like why they're fighting it tooth and nail like this. Especially with like the whole campaign like slogan beforehand just being like, well, let Bartlett be Bartlett. And it's like, well, yeah, just let him lie without apologizing, dude. It's totally cool. It's politically expedient. Like, just guys. No,
I think that's kind of what they're getting at in this episode is that Bartlett is kind of like on some level a deep fucking asshole who never likes to explain himself or admit that he's wrong.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we all feel that to an extent, but the part about leadership is that you need to look past that shit. You need to look past that. Yeah, the part about being leadership is that you're giving your all your personal expediency, all that stuff that like you would have been having otherwise if you weren't the leader. You're sacrificing all that for something greater than yourself. But if you're not willing to do that to preserve yourself personally, then maybe you shouldn't be a leader.
Yeah. No, I agree.
We have Josh and the COT. The numbers are not Easty. What was that?
Oh yeah, no, they're talking about like why they had to bring in Bruno.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's been
strategist.
It's been a month since the admission, and Bartlett's numbers are still in the toilet.
Yeah, is that when that they got the new poll in from Joey, or is this when Joey's suggesting that we need to do a new poll?
I think that's later. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anyway, the staff is debating strategy about the president. Joey comes in to say that they need a new poll because this Michigan one wasn't quite accurate. Yeah.
He's got great trust numbers,
I mean, like, yeah, maybe in California and New York, maybe.
Yeah,
But
well, yeah, exactly.
it's like
that classic Democratic miscalculation of only looking at people in New York and LA.
yeah. I'm like, Chicago, that'll.
What, actually go to Wisconsin to win a presidential election? No thanks.
No thanks. They only have 3-star hotels. Like, no fucking
Yeah.
way. Like, and that was the same thing that the sports announcers were doing when Milwaukee when the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship too. They were upset that they had to we have to go to this lame little non-city that doesn't need. They don't even have a Four Seasons.
Milwaukee has over 1 million people. It's one of the larger cities in America.
But it's no Chicago. It's no Chicago or LA or New York. And it's like, I'll stand with my city, but it's not. It is a smaller city than those that does not have any like those big it's not a big international city like those people are used to.
That's true.
Josh and Donna are in the limo. They're talking about RU 846 and how it's a contraception pill. Not their issue on Monday. That's what Josh is getting at.
It's just like I took issue with Josh's response here. It's incredibly demeaning for him to be like, you realize that this pill doesn't mean more sex for you, Donna. And it's like
shut the fuck up, Josh.
What the fuck up? Like, she's not allowed to like actually care about like the political issues that she's like dedicated her entire fucking life and career to. Like
access to contraception.
Access to contraception, something that means more to her than it does to you.
Right.
There, Pally.
Yeah. So, but great Sorkin stuff. Toby's in a bar with Toby's in the bar with the bald guy, Doug, who Doug's saying he doesn't like. And of course they're arguing over the apology, and Toby's doing his thing of kind of just like strong arming it and acting like you're dumb for thinking that like he should apologize. And then there's a brief mention of Haiti, I think. I don't even know what they mentioned about it.
Yeah, no, he was like, if the table had been set right in Haiti and the president had been able to invade, we could have been coasting off of those numbers.
Jesus!
When America goes to war.
See, this is back in the day too of like every time America invaded a country, it just like went smoothly in like a week and.
Right. Exactly.
Then we have Leo and Toby. Yep, Leo and Toby. They're talking to each other about needing a new pole. We have the situation room with Leo in there, and they attempt to humanize Nancy, the defense secretary, with. I forget what they try to.
I was proud of our boy tonight.
Yeah, where it's like, where they're all, this whole fantasy of like all these generals and all these people who've been in the military, where they
right. Well, Nancy, I get, because Nancy is like a cabinet level political appointee as the national security advisor, but all these generals, I don't buy it.
No. The chopper goes and like picks up the people that they're going to extract from the country. They get shot at, and I thought we were going to have the Black Hawk Down type of situation. And
I had a note being like, this White House really struggles with like military operations against like very small targets.
Well, and it's kind of like this has kind of like been the American military experience for a while too. Is like we're used to thinking that, we can take on this small little country, and we do for a bit, and they put up a lot more fight than we think. I mean, it's kind of like with like Iraq or Vietnam or any of these situations where our strategic goal isn't really quite met, but like we just end up saying like, but we blasted off like 10 more people than 10 times the amount of people than they killed of ours.
Right, exactly. No, like we killed. With the Clinton's bombing distraction. It was like, we killed 1,400 Iraqi guardsmen. And it's like, okay, I mean, what does that actually mean, though?
But then they had this line later on about like, and then they shot at us, and you're not allowed to do that. And it's like, okay, but like Bartlett, if they were here doing this, we'd be shooting at them.
Right.
Like,
see, America is special. America is the best country that ever was.
It's exceptional. It's American exceptionalism. Like everyone else, when another country does this, it's genocide. But when America does it, it's just doing our thing. Okay, moving on. Yes, killing starts with rockets. Yep. And then the bar. Yep. We cut to the staff is in a bar, in a New Hampshire bar. And I guess that they're still discussing material for the announcement, debating all
Yeah.
this over some drinks to get some privacy, which I imagine is like the worst thing because all your dirty laundry is like actually now available to the public. Like you guys would have these rooms with like Secret Service around them, like to protect all you guys, and no one's able to get in, and like, you know, no one who you don't want is able to get in or out. But then you guys decide to go out to the public where you're trying to like avoid telling the public the story, but you're out in public with drinks, arguing straight up about whether the president should apologize for having MS or not. I mean, just seems like a recipe for disaster. But then we cut to earlier on, I guess, with CJ's with the press about Haiti, and she just gets kind of bombarded about it, and I guess they're kind of trying to show that she's starting to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
We cut to Josh wanting to leak a story.
Right. It goes back to the whole tobacco thing from the last 2 episodes of last season.
Yeah.
When Leo had very clearly and explicitly said, yes, let's write this statement. We're going to use it to blow up these congressmen. That's the plan. Let's go. And then now they're like, no, that's such a stupid idea, Josh. Why would you ever think that was a good idea? Like, Leo kind of skates by on this issue when he was like, nope, light him up.
Maybe, well, perhaps I needed Bruno in there to like actually tell him what the long-term effects of this were, because that's what they seem to think. They seem to think very short-term.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to listen to Joey about it. CMJ seems mad at the press. Toby and CJ. Yep, cut to Toby and CJ in the bar,
where Toby makes it seem like CJ is about to like commit harakiri, like literally, and just off herself, with like how melodramatic he is, being like, Leo told me what you're about to do.
I know. And then she like does this little, you know, she throws the ball, like throws the pool balls into the pocket.
No, she's playing creative pool.
Yeah. The president is with the military. Yeah, president's with the military in the Oval Office and staff, and they're discussing sanctions, flybys, you know, all this stuff that's just gonna like hurt more, like hurt like one of the poorest countries in our hemisphere. Yeah, if they have to invade Haiti, and how politically motivated they're going to be. They shot at us. They're not allowed to do that. Fuck off, Bartlett. Charlie and we have to cut to Charlie and Toby in the bar. I don't even remember what they talked about. It was pretty brief.
Like Charlie had been told by Oliver Babish that he was going to need to pay like $100,000.
Yeah, I have that later on.
Legal bills.
Yeah, which I mean, at least he finally listened to like, I don't need a lawyer. I don't need a lawyer. He's like, you need a lawyer if you did nothing wrong too. Like it's bad.
Yeah.
Like if you want to protect that, like you better make sure you have a lawyer. Charlie and Oliver are in an office. Yep, needs a lawyer. Yep, $100,000.
We see Charlie hustling pool on Toby.
Good man.
But that's just how he should. He should quit his White House job and just go on like a world tour of pool hall hustling.
Yeah. President has an atypical marriage, I suppose, and it's like, yeah, I guess I think any presidency would make your marriage atypical, to be honest with you. Bruno comes to the staff about the speech. He says it's too pessimistic, or I'm not sure if it was Bruno. I think it was Doug. Doug says it. I think.
Yeah, Doug. Yeah, no, because they're reading and it's like, millions are still starving, dark corners of America. And he's like, it is midnight in America.
Which is, I think that's a good ad if like you're running against an incumbent.
Right.
Because you're saying that, oh, like they've had 4 years and this country still sucks.
Right, exactly.
but to announce that like while you're the incumbent shows that, hey, like you still ain't shit. Like, yeah, bro, you've had 4 years to do this, and there's all these dark corners where democracy has not reached it. So
yeah, exactly. It's the problem Biden is having, right? Because like he wants to say that the economy is doing good. The economy is not doing good. People are still struggling, but he's the incumbent, so he can't say people are still struggling. We need to do more. Well, it's a whole catch-22 for old Joe.
And I think it's pretty bad to, put his name over like saying like, oh yeah, well, these economics are Bidenomics. I'm like, well, yeah, I would try to distance yourself from that. I would try to
Right.
say this is the hangover from Trump's economy if I were in their position. But that's why they don't hire people like me.
No, me neither. If they had hired me, I would point out that they're basically just doing what Wisconsin did with Foxconn, where they're just giving a whole bunch of corporations a whole bunch of money and accepting their promises to create jobs at face value. Except they're doing that on a scale of like tens of billions of dollars all across the country,
without really any
attachments about no provisions for like large scale clawbacks of money if the jobs don't. Like all these new like green factories are being built in the South where like workers' rights just aren't a thing at all. There's no protections for workers attached to this money.
Well, and just no oversight whatsoever, just about like whether this is going to be sustainable or not. And it's pretty much just like, I mean, and then like how it was with Foxconn too, it's that no jobs are really created. And it was just a big old like, tax. It was just a big old handout for people who are running these.
Right. No, I was
without any consequences.
Like, Biden was in Milwaukee last week.
Yep.
And the factory he spoke at was one that got like $9 million from the Walker government and had only created like 100 of the 200 jobs that they had promised to create. And now Biden is giving them a whole bunch more money. And they're saying they're going to create another 100 jobs. And it's like, okay, well, that's going to be 50 jobs for way more money than last time.
If that.
It's bad. It's bad economic policy.
It's terrible economic policy because it's throwing money at shit without acknowledging what the problem is. And yeah, you ain't gonna fix nothing that way. Yeah, we get more national polls in the Roosevelt room. The numbers are, yes, of course, approval is going down as they broaden their scope a little bit. CJ's with the press on the Haiti debacle. The refugees are going to go to Gitmo.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
Hey, what a nice place to stay. Practically a resort, really.
Practically a resort, and especially when this is written before 9/11.
Yeah. This was written and recorded before Gitmo took on a very different meaning in popular consciousness,
where it's like a place where you can nab international citizens and put them there without a trial or anything, just claiming that they're terrorists
and hold them there for decades without any kind of due process.
Yeah, America. Yeah, that she gets then she gets bombarded with some questions about the president's health, and she says, and then she has the big debacle of her career is that she says the president is relieved about the issue that the president is relieved to care about an issue that matters, referring to Haiti. And that's where I wrote down time to can CJ because
right. No, this is where CJ resigns.
Yeah, and then Sam and Toby are there, like, of course, running around with chickens with their heads cut off, going like, did she just say fucking relieved? Did you just say he's relieved? He's got to send soldiers out there to kill civilians. And then, of course, they confront her right away, and she just tells them, back off. I'm not doing good right now. I know what I just did.
Yeah, damn it, he says.
Yeah.
And then there's a big argument in Leo's office.
Yes.
Where Leo is ragging on CJ. And then we get the rarest of things, a good point from Sam Seaborn when he says that Leo's like, oh, you guys got to get over it. You've had this for weeks now. And Sam's like, well, some of us have had it for longer than others, Leo. Like, you knew about this shit and didn't have a plan for it for well over a year. So.
Yep. Yeah, very, very rare little diamond for Sam there to have a reasonable point where.
Yeah.
Then Leo tells the president about RU 846 news is going to happen on while they're. Yeah, he's telling them that announcement is going to go on while they're doing their announcement on Monday. That's just postponing, whether it's like,
Right.
when it's gonna be subpoena time. And he's like, oh, they're probably gonna
Right.
hand out the
Yeah.
subpoenas this week, and it's like, well, we gotta get ahead of that.
Well, I mean, Bartlett's point is that whenever they announce, that's when Congress will hand out their first round of subpoenas.
More than likely. But he says I'm running and I'm gonna win. And there's that nice American delusionalism to end the episode with.
Yeah. The only note I had was like when Leo and Bartlett are walking, Leo says, or Bartlett calls his house, I forget the phrase, but it means like the place away from the town or whatever. And he tries to frame it as like something romantic of like, we're away here in nature, away from the hustle and bustle of civilization. And it's like, nah, I mean, in reality, your rich ancestors just didn't want to live too close to peasants. So they built themselves this like exclusive estate out in the countryside, like rich people do.
Yeah. And very much like how rich people were as we go into the second episode. I imagine they would bring their staff in to discuss things in their barn. Well, yeah.
It is weird that they spend so much time just chilling in the barn, doesn't it?
It is because it's like, why wouldn't you guys? I'm like, I know that house is air conditioned. I know it is. Like, it's like, I'm like, why would you hang out in the bar? Like, don't you guys have Secret Service around there? I'm like, guys, if Iran wants to drop a bomb on there, it's like those walls aren't blast proof, guys. Like. I don't know, just gonna seem kind of, but I think they were trying to do like some shout out of like, because the whole thing just seemed like way too rustic. I think they were just trying to seem like it's just like, oh well, this is them, like this is like when a politician like rolls their sleeves up and they're really ready to work and like get their hands.
Yeah, I mean, part of it I think is just a very TV thing of like, well, we're shooting on location, so we might as well take advantage of it's kind of like when on Succession, like you have like Kendall and you have the business meeting while on a hike in the beautiful Swiss mountains. It's like they didn't really need to do that, but
they need
if you're shooting in Switzerland, you might as well show off the scenery
just a bit. Well, also, I mean, it made sense because the characters would seem like they do that when you have like an eccentric tech billionaire being like, oh no, like let's do this business deal walking around because like I'm a psychopath. Like that type of thing makes more sense to me. But I do see the point of like, well, they want to shoot on location. They shot on location of this farm, which really just I feel like was just to kind of like bring out this rustic element of like, well, the president's preparing to announce and everything, and like they have to like make it seem like it's like it's all like this middle America type of thing. This is like, the heartland, like these type of people did it. And here's Abby Bartlett carrying up a big batch of apples that she's going to make for cider herself. And it's like, come on now. Come on, y'all. She's a doctor. Like she don't got time to do this shit.
Yeah. I will also say, I like the dysfunctional energy we get amongst the staff. It felt more realistic than like what we normally get out of this show.
Yes, where like they're all just kind of getting along and then just like debating on some ideological idea. But with this, it's the nitty gritty of a bunch of writers who are really debating the little nits and the nooks and crannies of how you're going, like what words exactly you're going to use, of like what effects that's going to have, and then like having debates about it. But still, the main subject of their controversy is the apology of whether or not the president should do this, whether he should own up and acknowledge these things. Ball guy suggests the apology. Sam defends it. It's not your campaign. Yeah, not your camp. He's like, yeah, I don't want them to say like, yeah, my campaign, my country. Doug's trying to get him to trying to kind of distance themselves from Bartlett the man.
Yeah,
and they want the like Bartlett ideals. Like they want to have the ideological. Which I mean, it doesn't make sense either, because like I would figure you'd try to bring like Hoynes in too if you're trying to like distance him from it. You'd try to be like, well, no, we need to like look at our second man then. But obviously Bartlett doesn't want to do that.
With the decision made that he is running, then you got to hide Hoynes, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said like cat's out of the bag for MS. 48 hours till Monday night. And he said, like, if you don't get this done, I can't remember if Bruno says this or somebody else says it, but like they threaten arson and impalement through the ass.
Yeah, I think that's Bruno.
Yeah, but that's, I figured that's a bit more. That's how these American political discussions.
Yeah, I think Bruno kind of casually says, he's like, I've been thinking it might be a good idea for me to lock this barn with all of you inside it and set it on fire.
Yeah. I think
the kind of voice I think this administration needs at this point in time.
I think so too. I was gonna say, like, Bruno's been like my favorite new addition to this.
Yeah, no, Bruno's good.
The president's, we go to the president's bedroom with Abby. They review the day, CJ's mistake. Still don't really talk about, any things they should talk about in their marriage. There's still that silence. We're not going to talk about these things that we know we're going to be upset about. Staff then discusses the greatness of America. Can't remember what they got to it here. Yeah, Josh and Leo go for a sidebar, and Josh brings up the RU 486 issue. And he said, well, technically the FDA is not independent. I can just give him a phone call and ask him to delay these things. If it's like, because it's he's trying to find some loophole around it to just make sure that they announce it in 2 weeks. He's trying to think like, oh, there's a buddy there I know who's like,
right. He's like, I got the chief of staff of the FDA as job. I can pull those strings.
Right. And then Leo is like, oh no, like, leave the FDA alone, laissez-faire. Like, don't worry about it. Abby and CJ talk about the press, unnamed sources. Oh yes, because CJ was trying to strategize about. CJ was trying to tell Abby that, like, hey, sorry, get some burps here.
Yeah, CJ was trying to tell Abby she wants pictures of her and the president because they haven't been sleeping in the same rooms. Their marriage is on the rocks. They came to New Hampshire separately because they can't stand to be like on a plane together. And there are unnamed sources talking about how their marriage is an absolute shambles. Mm-hmm. And which is correct. Based on everything we see in these 2 episodes, those unnamed sources are absolutely correct. Yeah. And Abby is just like, fuck all unnamed sources. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't want to talk to about unnamed sources. And fuck you, CJ, for doing your job of trying to manage the president's public image.
Right. I'm just trying to say that, like, you have to make me feel uncomfortable, do this stuff. Oh shit, fuck you. You don't get any cider. Fuck you, bitch. CJ tells Leo about the photo op and how Abby's not being cooperative. Asked Leo to talk to Abby because she's hoping that if a man tells her, maybe Abby will listen. Leo and President are in the Situation Room. They talk about the possibility of a Haiti invasion. The president says, "No, I want to resolve this now." And the idea is that they're trying to get the president that was couped in question and his family all out of there.
Right. Well, yeah, I think basically they do the flyby, they do the show of force, and basically the guy who took over the government is like, all right, I'll surrender. I want a private plane. I want asylum for me and 100 of my allies in America, and I want $10 million US cash.
Yeah. And of course, they respond by, putting him in a military plane and saying that, like,
right, yeah,
potentially
him and his immediate family get asylum. He gets to they unfreeze all of his U.S. assets, and I think they give him asylum in Venezuela.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for. Which I think this is back before. This is back before Hugo Chavez, right?
I mean, Wikipedia. Another installment of Tim Google stuff.
But they fly him out of the military plane, all that stuff to get the people's.
Actually, this was right after. This was Chavez came to power in 1999.
Okay. Okay, so maybe they were still thinking that they were allies to him or something else like that. I am not exactly sure, but I just know that our relationship with Venezuela has soured since then, since we don't even agree upon like who wins the elections, unless of course we need to make an oil deal.
Yeah.
Leo and Nancy. Leo's with the secretary, defense secretary. Nancy wants her to brief president. He's not going to punish CJ. Well, no, wait. Yeah, he's like, he keeps saying he's like, I'm not punishing CJ, but it's like, but yeah, you should though. Like, you should like get rid of her for that. Like, seems like your toys. It seems like your tool's kind of broken. Seems like you kind of need a new liar for the White House. So I would invest in doing that.
Yeah. No, but like Abby makes the rational case that like CJ shouldn't be briefing about Haiti anyways. It should be the military.
I agree with that. I agree with that too. Then we have a quick little scene with Charlie and Margaret is like a straight colonialist.
Yes.
Margaret wants to like roll in
to the ground and build a casino, which is what a lot of people were saying about the Middle East in like mid-September of 2001. Well,
you know what?
Let's just carpet bomb the entire Middle East and put in like a high-class American resort.
You know what? And here's the thing is that I would say, well, go ahead and go for it if they themselves go and do that. If all the people advocating for that want to go in those fucking tanks, then I'm going to say, like, you go right the fuck ahead. Like, you go right ahead and do that. But
the scary thing, though, is that in the modern age of warfare, you wouldn't even need tanks. You don't even need humans.
There's drones. Right.
Yeah, we could deploy a fleet of drones that could bomb pretty much any region of the world out of existence,
and it's
without any humans needing to be within like 1,000 miles.
Well, and that's going to be great for like when there's like, civil unrest in the future, because they won't send police like in riot gear against. They'll just send those robotic dogs with machine guns on their backs.
No, it is the future. It is I think San Francisco announced and then retracted a whole RoboCop program a couple years ago. My
God. Oh my God. Let's just have an algorithm write the laws for us, guys. Fuck it. Like, that's just...
I mean, my thoughts about, like, eliminating the current legislature and finding... If an algorithm generated legislation that then was subject to just, like, a popular national referendum before going into effect, would that be so bad? Would that be worse than our current system?
Well, it all depends on who writes the algorithm, Tim. Like that's my problem. Is it's like, well, these algorithms, we consider them to be so evil because the people who make them.
But in my proposal, it takes a popular vote of the entire country for any legislation to take effect.
Well, that'd be great, Tim. But I don't trust the people making that algorithm. That's my whole problem with it.
I mean, I don't trust the people we have writing laws right now either.
No, I know.
And right now, we don't have any kind of like national referendum before laws go into effect.
No, of course not. Of course not. But it all comes down to, I mean, that's just my whole thing with like problems with technology and the algorithm. And like, it's like, well, these things aren't all self-sufficient right away. Somebody has to program it. Somebody has to tell the algorithm what to do. Like, there still is that human input of control. And that's where the power is at that point. So, I mean, it's complicated. It's a complex issue, and this technology is still relatively new, and I don't think we'll really get our full hands.
The New York Times wrote an op-ed yesterday about a lottery system where instead of elections, officials are appointed through a lottery of adult citizens, which is interesting.
Yeah, like I could see that going both ways. It's interesting. It's interesting to think about. Interesting thought exercise.
But we are still stuck in our broken election system, and that is what the West Wing is exploring here.
Yes. Yes. We have Leo and Sam together, and I guess there's like a brief apology. Like there's a brief apology right there. I can't remember what that was even about. The president gets an offer. Yeah. The president. Yeah, there's a quick joke between the president and Leo where it's like the president says like, "Oh, the French asked me to like give them credit for helping out with this Haiti problem. But I would give them credit, but I would think that they'd surrender." Leo and CJ together. No ground gained on the polls. They're bringing in Bruno, the staff, and CJ says, well, the staff won't like it. The staff won't like Bruno. It's like, well, fuck the staff. Like, fuck
Yeah.
the staff.
They have been really bad at their job, so you need to replace them.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they're not even talking about replacing them, which they should be.
They should be. Sam is just problematic. Like,
Yeah,
he's just a problem.
He's just a liability for the administration at this point.
The staff is then debating language. Continuing to debate the language of the speech. They're arguing between like educating the public versus like keeping things quiet, which I can kind of see both sides of. Is that like to an extent of like with some of these issues, you might want to be like, well, you gave the education you want about it. You know, every time like you start talking about MS, there's another story about MS, and they're saying like, well, 73% of people think that like this is deadly, and you know, it's like they want to try to reduce those numbers a little bit too. But then other people are going to view, like the people who are convinced otherwise are going to view this as, well, the government's just trying to harden their position against it and send out propaganda to help their candidate out. Which, you know, if that's the case, then just like let people think what they want and just like focus on other issues and let the MS thing die out. So, but I can see the rationale between both of them. But you know, this is what speechwriters go through. They debate the strategy of how they want the speech to sound and what message they're really trying to send.
Yeah.
Margaret gets Leo for Bruno's. Margaret gets Leo for Bruno's meeting. She kind of like big dicks him a little bit. Like,
Leo, you're not supposed to add your own appointments now, are you? You
right.
Fucking idiot.
Right. Leo basically tells Bruno, like, we need your help. Bruno's got some heavy asks. He wants unfettered access to the president. To which he goes in and talks to the president. The president says, you're not getting unfettered access to me.
Yeah. Yeah, Bartlett does a little bit of smooth negotiation here.
Yes.
They settle on 12% of the total ad buy, so
oh my God.
Bruno is making like millions upon millions of dollars.
Buku banks.
Yeah.
Buku banks. But also to go into a situation that he himself didn't want to go into, of saying that, well, you shouldn't have announced that. Like, if he's got to keep it
a secret, don't you already were lying to the entire country for years about your health.
Right.
Just keep lying about your health.
Right, but by doing this is just like a big additional mess you have to help clean up. So if I'm going to be a part of it, yeah, I want buku bucks if I'm going to be a part of this. But the president says access is a deal breaker. But I guess Bruno still agrees. Staff is interacting with Bruno at a high school event. Oh yeah. They're all like setting up for. It goes through a little montage where they're all like setting up the event and they're all kind of doing the staff, like, you know, the stressful event setup, and the staff's all yelling at each other about like the balloons and, you know, the music, the proper setup, all this shit. And they're all kind of screaming. CJ and Josh, we'll talk about RU 486.
Yeah, Josh is having trouble keeping his many fuck ups straight in his head.
Yes. Staff. We then have a staff meeting in the Roosevelt room. I guess in the past, they're going over the strategy of announcing whether it's apology or accountability. Bald guy is basically saying like, well, the Republicans like really estimate you guys as.
Yeah, like I heard the Republicans just talk about how like, yeah, up your own asses and arrogant you all were.
And they were lowballing
that was just, yeah, and they were lowballing it this entire time. Like, oh, Doug, you were so right. Welcome.
Right. Doug, can I hire you on the staff? to which after that meeting, and when they all storm out, or Doug storms out at least, Bruno takes Josh aside and says, "Here, let me talk to you for a second. You were dumb with this tobacco thing, man. Like, you thought short term with that, because that's going to be used as the hammer against your head in the next election. Like that, like swing states."
But no, he's saying that they could have used this tobacco thing as a hammer, against the Republicans in like 3 key swing states, and that Josh basically just gave that issue away for
the short term gain. Yeah, but that's like you've given up an election in the future for doing this. Great. Which Josh like finally realized by the time he starts chewing his pen that, oh yes, I've.
Oh, dude, I fucked up. But again, he was also executing Leo's strategy too. It's not like Josh went off. I mean, he ignored some advice, but his boss told him to light them up with the statement.
Yeah. So, but also Leo gets off with that too, just like when he was interrogating that guy without a lawyer. Abby's there to. She's told that she's going to intro the president. That's fucking awkward because, of course, like intro the guy that she doesn't want to run for president anyway. Abby, then we can then cut to like an earlier earlier when Abby and President Bartlett are in the bedroom and he is like brooding and talking about agriculture at her. And to obviously avoid the issue of I'm running with MS when I told you I wouldn't.
I told you I wouldn't. This is like a super bad idea for so many reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's just, we get, they both need couples therapy and communication very badly because Abby wants to communicate these things, but she's kind of unable to in the position he is because also Bartlett's is a bit
and Bartlett's just a real like caustic, sarcastic piece of shit during this conversation as well.
Yeah, fuck him for that. Then we have to cut to Leo and the president the night before the event. He's nervous about Abby introing him. He's like, "Oh yeah, I didn't ask her. Okay, but it's fine. Let's go with it. It looks better. Which I'm like, yeah, it does. So, but you need this to happen. You need to happen. Cut to Sam and Toby, and they're going over the transcript. They're talking the apology. The sin of omission gets brought up.
Right. Yeah. There's a little talk about like Catholicism.
If only he had done this from the start of it, and it's like, it's kind of like, you should. I would jump ship if I were you guys. Like, I would just go right. A new job that you're definitely qualified for at this point. Then we cut to Sam and Spam and the speechwriter Connie are outside.
Right. It's I have the note of like Sam Seaborn love interest attempt number 1000 for this show.
Yes. Exactly. Because that's how I read this too. I was just like, oh, so like who's this sneaky chibi, huh? Like but they talk about the apology, how it looks kind of look of sincerity. She basically kind of calls out Sam's shadow of like, it seems like you're more pissed off about this. It's like, I'm just trying to give you the reasonable point of like, maybe an apology would be just fine. But it seems like you're just so mad that like he even did this in the first place and you haven't accepted this. Like she completely calls him out psychologically. And then have a note of like, Bartlett is his God though. Like Bartlett.
Right. Exactly. They're all in the cult.
Yeah. Like you're totally drinking the Kool-Aid. Sorry that we're not, but we're trying to. But that's why we're here to give you that perspective of people who aren't dipping their heads into the poison well. Then Toby and Doug. We have a scene where Toby and Doug are arguing again about the apology. Bruno gets a quick call, and Toby and Doug talk. Toby's insult. What was Toby's insult again?
Oh, it was Doug wants to just be flowery and cheerful, and Toby says that he's running a campaign for Grand Marshal of the Rose Bowl Parade.
Oh,
and then Doug comes in there into the kitchen and being like, "Is that something you run for, Grand Marshal of the Rose Bowl Parade?"
Yeah, he's like, "What is with your fucking insult, Toby?" Like,
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Which makes me think of like some like arguments we've had later on where it's like after it's getting heated, we're just like, what was up with this one comment you made there? I didn't quite get that. I was
people sometimes just veer from like political to like personal,
right?
Totally.
Totally. But Doug tells him is like, you're pissed and you don't even know it. You drank the Kool-Aid, and also that Bruno just got a call. The call that Bruno just got is to tell him that the speech is locked, that there's going to be no apology. So you win. Like, Then Josh is we have Josh lollygagging around in his hotel room, not dressed well. Like it's go time. Donna runs up to go and get him, and
Josh has real divorced dad energy.
very much so. Talking about like how like RU 846 is yeah, she tries to perk him up, and he says like, yeah, okay, RU 846 is all fucked up. He's like, I could have just made a phone call and it didn't happen. I could just delay with anything. I'm mad about that. I fucked up the tobacco thing so bad. How do I even move on with this? And it's like, well, you do have to get the fuck up and do the job that you said you were going to do, not just like mope around about it. CJ and the president, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. The president goes up to CJ and says, don't be a marriage counselor. To which CJ's like, I just want to put in my resignation like right now.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, let me leave. Can I leave this horrible job?
Yeah. Pretty fucking much. He then lectures CJ on stats and says, don't you dare. I was never supposed to win.
Like, yeah, don't you fucking dare lecture me about how much work is left to be done. Yeah, it's wild.
It's demeaning.
It's a great scene. It's a great scene. It's Allison Janney and Martin Sheen.
Yes,
which always works on this show.
It does. It is two great actors going to stick at this, but of course, I'm sticking with CJ. I'm just like, well, no, like she's allowed to fucking leave, and like she did. Yeah. She wants to be done. Like she wants to be, and right at that point, once your press secretary says something like that, like I would think that they'd be like, she's done. She's right. Done. She's done. Like we love her. We're still gonna like go to our elite parties with her and stuff, but she's done. Like that's it there. And I think she would understand that at that point too. Goes back to primary memories. Anyway.
Oh yeah, no, they talk about. Oh yeah, no, he talks about how it all kind of snowballed on him, right? Like he knew he had MS. And he got into the race kind of like on a lark, Oh yeah. A chance to raise some issues that he was pondering, and get whooped by Hoynes in the first few primaries, and then drop out.
Yeah.
But he just had this brilliant staff that came together and propelled him to victory, despite all the odds.
Which wouldn't have stayed with him in the White House cabinet either.
Right. No, yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy that they're all still here. This is not how politics works.
Then we have President Bartlett and Abby are in the limo, right, like on the way to the announcement. Bartlett makes a little joke of, well, it could be worse. He could be married to an astronaut. To which I think Abby would think, like, I would love it if you were on the fucking moon right now. Yeah, you pretty much are anyway right now.
I mean, Abby does have that sweet line of like, I haven't decided yet, but I am considering voting for you.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's the thing I would say, Abby, is I would say make him fight for your vote, Abby.
What issues of yours is he addressing, Abby?
Right. I'm like, well, I don't know. You did lie to the country about having MS. I mean, I know, man, you are a big liar pants. Like, well, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
And then we cut to a scene where the staff is they have their paper out there, and they're talking about like, oh, we should have done this, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and they talk about the word torpor and if people know it or not. To which I was like, oh, I didn't know the word. I didn't know what that word meant until you guys told me what it was. Because if I
read it in context, I think I would know what it means. I've heard it before, but
right. It's like you need the context.
I couldn't define it for you off the top of my head. Yeah.
To which they're saying like, yeah, normal people don't use this conversationally, and to which Bartlett comes in and says, well, they don't know, they can look it up. You shouldn't boast about having an educated president if you can't show that he's educated. And it's just like, okay, but you could also just use language, because part of communication is you have to use language that the people who you're communicating to clearly understand right away, and that you can repeat over and over again for news cycles and have go over again and have these like slogans and parts of their speeches like put into their head. So when they're talking to the people who are your supporters, when they're talking to their political adversaries, they have these to go back at them. They sound like they're educated people. They sound like they're well informed. So I mean, I can see the point of it, but I can also see the point of not using words like that. But Also don't be afraid to like show people words they don't know because America could use it. To which then afterwards, the president has his lame, like it's this lame fucking super showcased TV show apology of like where the staff is all like standing up straight, like
Yeah,
like
at least they didn't all go out repeating the same line like they've done many other times in the show.
I know.
It kind of feels like they're leading towards that, and then they don't quite go that far. So maybe Sorkin has learned some restraint.
Yeah. I was thinking they're all going to end it with saying like, "Let Bartlett be Bartlett. Let Bartlett
exactly.
Let him do his thing."
I serve at the president. Yeah, I serve at the pleasure of the president. No,
it's like you guys have all. It's like, okay, now we're all going to drink some red Kool-Aid now, and
we're all going to go to the spaceship, guys. Let's go.
It's just fine. And of course, like there's like the fucking snare drum in the background and all this too. Well, the president is like apologizing to them and not going to apologize to the country that he's been lying to.
No, I mean, who's really suffered here?
Right. I mean, but truly though, and it's like, and like what we've always been saying throughout all this, it's just like, well, y'all would just be done. Like this is too stressful. Like honestly, the guy you're working for, like fucked things up for you guys, and like honestly, like kept things from you guys that made your job way harder. I would jump ship. Like all you guys would jump ship. Any self-preserving person would do that. But
yeah,
this is television, and we got to keep it safe. And we hired these amazing actors to stay on there with it, so we're gonna do that. I mean, thank God that Rob Lowe isn't as bad of a person, as far as I know, than the Sam character he's portraying.
Yeah,
pretty much on par with his character in Tommy Boy. But and I'm imagining the rest of this season is going to be focused on just the re-election campaign, because this is what the rest of this is like the arc that they were writing during the year 2000.
Yeah, this was all being written after the 2000 presidential election.
Which I'm only wondering, it's like, well, is there going to be like some state that like some swing state like Ohio or something that like is going to seem like it goes for the Republican, but then Bartlett has some cronies in there named like, oh, I don't know, let's call him Richie Boulder, and he sends a bunch of fucking goons in there to like go and stop the election count, stop a recount, and then swing the state for a Democrat. Like, but I doubt they're going to go with something like that and like go with some realism that happened in the 2000 election.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to give anything away.
Oh, good boy, Tim. Good. Tim's a good man.
I'm trying to see what episode.
Excuse me. What episodes will we watch next week as our audience awaits the announcement? Like Bartlett getting his campaign slogans in there, but he's a liar.
I'm trying to see what this episode is. My internet would cooperate.
If it does cooperate.
Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess we should watch the next 2 episodes.
That is A-okay. The next 2 to follow through with what we're going to do. I mean, I'm also kind of cool just like seeing these characters here, but I imagine we're gone. I will say also, I should probably give a quick eulogy for Ainsley,
Miss just not on the show anymore.
Miss just not on the show anymore. All the other staff is gone, even though that she didn't do anything wrong. Like she pretty much did all that she did is she just was like a conservative in there. She was like the little tiny blondie leggy conservative that is supposed to be another one of Sam's love interests that did
just
not
never
pan out.
went anywhere. Yeah. And like it is a very real thing where like they were trying to put a love interest in there to keep Rob Lowe happy, and it just never worked out.
But it's like, why do you even need a fucking love interest, Rob? Like, what? Just date women in Hollywood. Like, who fucking cares? Like, who fucking cares? Like, honestly, if I had an actor like that on my staff, I would be like, oh, if you want a love interest, well, I'm gonna make you like super gay.
Yeah. Well, it was always tricky because Rob Lowe, other than Martin Sheen, Rob Lowe was by far the biggest star on the cast. It was kind of sold, initially pitched as a basis of like a Rob Lowe vehicle.
Yes,
he was pitched as like, this is your show, Rob. You're the star of the show.
Yeah,
and it did not turn out that way at all because the network wanted Martin Sheen to be on board full time if they were going to make the show.
Yeah. Makes more sense to me than just like the staff White House staff speechwriter who would
right, because and Sorkin's original conception, Martin Sheen would appear like maybe 5 times per season. That was the original thing they had talked about. Yeah, but the network's like, no, we want Martin Sheen in every episode.
Yeah, no, that only makes sense too, and especially with the whole, well, the president's going to be around for the staff more than his cabinet's going to be. So
yeah, exactly.
But that's what it is. But I think, folks, that's really all we got for this week. So next week we'll return to you with episodes 4 and 5 of The West Wing.
Ways and Means and On the Day Before.
Ooh, oh boy. But I guess that's all for us right now. So, next time, folks.